Hey, good morning. It's 9:14 a.m. It is June. I think it's June. No way, it's June 18th already. Oh my God. It's June 18th and it's Wednesday morning. Okay, so let me tell you how my day started. I woke up and I had mentioned yesterday that I was going to be contacting some employers and I still have time to do that. My thing is that I understand because I remember hating telemarketing jobs, right? I hated telemarketing jobs so bad, but I understand that I have to be able to communicate with people, follow up on emails and stuff like that. Now, I just recently started this like last week and I have not received any responses. Okay, and I can't sit here and assume that it's just because of the church thing, but it is. I'm going to consider that possibility. Okay, this is one of the reasons why I had mentioned this to Donald Trump and also address the churches. But what I'm trying to do right now, I'm in an early stage of trying to see what works, what kind of method is work best, and that might include me having to create a different script in order to, have like two split my list in half and use one script for one half group and another script for another to see what actually garners attention. And that isn't unless, of course, I'll have to take in consideration that some people just don't read their emails. Okay, I don't read my emails. Okay, you know why? Because I don't care. I make it a common practice to shut out the outside world because most of the time, throughout the last 10 years, the only thing I really deal with is things that were meant to trigger me. That's how I feel. So it's like, unless I'm expecting something, I'm going to let my emails slide. Okay. And so I think a lot of people can be like that at times. So this is one of the reasons why I follow up. I am starting to remember some of the things I used back in the past when I would communicate with people. And so, because you don't think about it, you forget about it. I'm like, wait, I need to be more effective when it comes to reaching decision makers. And this is one of the reasons why I'm sorry, but I really do. And when I say I have a low opinion of office personnel, it's not, I'm not trying to be offensive. It's just that, there's certain people who may be acting as vigilantes when I call, or they might, some people just do not care about taking the message. You'll leave a message for somebody and they're like acting like they're taking the message because a lot of people just don't care about their jobs. I mean, I get it. Okay. And then there's people who are trying to block because I'm the kind of person, I understand my boss is usually very busy. Sometimes they want you to screen calls and stuff like that. So, I'm trying to figure out more direct ways of talking to the decision maker and bypassing, people who are really, not to be offensive, but really can't possibly be of any help. Okay. I know that I was blacklisted because of me not being a part of this religion. Now, and we all know that there was some sort of conspiracy against me from the very time I was born with the Mormon Church and everything. So that's one of the reasons why I felt it was important for me to bring in Donald Trump and talk to him about this, bringing out on my videos. Now, from what I understand, there's a lot of people who the people who know what I talk about, okay, my conversations become well known, and I don't, like I said, I believe it's because there's some sort of shadow uh, connection, some sort of shadow connection through YouTube. I don't know how that works. Okay, I just know that Rex Laverne was using my information. He was what I would say. There's religious organization Mormons, which they have their hand in business, which I'm going to go into that a little bit later. But and that's really actually the reason why I'm making this particular video. But they got YouTube on board of like and then shadow banning me and not making me visible, wanting to prevent me from being seen and reducing the quality of my life. See, I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes to this particular religion, all they do, their main goal in life is to reduce the quality of your life. This is their mission. So I'm talking about people who are highly influenced by archonic type energy. That's the kind of energy. Okay, like I was talking about how archons are like in the demiurge. They're like these demons that somehow filter themselves into public spaces, into government systems. Okay, and they do it in a very sly, misleading way. And sometimes it's through religion. In this case, it is. Okay, so what my point is that I know that I've experienced a hard time because of the burden baby thing. I'm a burden baby. Okay, I was a part of the cloning experiments or whatever, and I was somebody who was put into like the black market system. Okay, so I was a victim. Okay, and for many years, the churches, the reason why they resent me is because my bloodline is extremely powerful. It is extremely powerful. And I understand that what they were resenting was the fact that they wanted the savior to be of white lineage. They wanted the savior to be of white lineage. And they were very resentful of my Egypt, who I was as an Egyptian. First, I'd like to say, I know throughout the years, many cultures, okay, worship Egyptians. They admire Egyptians. Egyptians are, okay, like for example, Aleister Crowley. Now, I can't say I'm a fan of Aleister Crowley, but this man, loved his Egyptian dress, his garb when he was, trying to work up a certain form of meditation or whatever. He was somebody who would wear like triangle hats and stuff like this. This is somebody who reveres the abilities of Egyptian people, okay, because we are an advanced civilization, okay. Now, and like I said, I think when I was younger, I remember hearing all this talk about it, and I never really, I appreciate who I am. I am, and don't get me wrong, I love who I am. I'm very, very happy to be a part of this bloodline. When I mean bloodline, I have a heavenly connection to my origins are heavenly. So I'm going to surmise that the Egyptians were as well. Okay, so this is something resented by some people, members of the white race, and I know Mormons were like, well, if she has the attention on her, then she's going to have the power. Okay, and see, this is unfortunate because if we're talking about a long-awaited savior, okay, people have been waiting for a savior. If this is the truth, right, which it seems like it is because I seem like I'm the smartest person around, not to brag, okay, but this is fact, okay. If I'm the smartest person around, why would a entity work so hard to prevent the long-awaited, what they call, savior? Okay, I do believe that this particular religion is nothing but demonic. Nothing but demonic. Okay, now, I wanted to, so going back to me making my phone calls, I understand that I have to clear out a lot of negativity, and this is one of the reasons why I called on Donald Trump. And this is one of the reasons why I brought on the attention of their churches, because I should not have to work that hard. Okay, I am a victim. Okay, I should be able to get money from all the companies that exploited me. Okay, and there's a lot of other victims, I'm sure. Okay, because I got this intuitive message that there are a lot of victims. Okay, because this is what I'm going to call, I'm going to label something new, or what they call, coin a new term, corporate abuse. Corporate abuse. Okay, I woke up this morning, and last night before I was going to bed, I was in my Dickie Mo corporate America like rant. I remember falling asleep thinking about how much the corporate structure to me seems a little bit too religious. Okay, and then I woke up this morning, and you know what I was thinking about? Few months ago, okay, let me back up. I always have to back up because there's always so much to my story, okay? Now, we all know that I think Elon Musk is cute, but I'm going to tell you my crush on Elon Musk is a rather new phenomenon. I know he's been around for quite a long time, and before all of this time, I never really paid much attention to him. Okay, I just recently started paying attention to him, like, he's really cute. Like, okay, I remember putting him in my autodidacts video when I first made it, okay? And he was just, the reason why I added him is because I was trying to show modern people, because I was sticking to people who were like a part of like a certain different time period. Like I was talking about people like Mary Edie Baker, or who these other people who were self-taught individuals, okay, including architects and scientists and stuff like that. So of the modern age, I'm talking about people like Bill Gates, or people who dropped out of college or only went partial or whatever. So I included him in, but he was just a person that I had mentioned, and I never gave any thought to him. But I understand how the network works. Okay, the network works is they want to know as much as they possibly can about you. This is one of the reasons why they sent Justin Hayward to me back in 2023. Okay, they knew I was growing up. I was a Moody Blues fan. Okay, like I pretty much like lived to hear the Moody Blues. And you know what? I was pretty pissed off at Justin Hayward for a while, but then I'm like, fuck it, dude. I cannot live without that music. As a matter of fact, it is what it is, including the Nights in White Satin song. I figure, if that's about the Ku Klux Klan, that's unfortunate because, that's a very beautiful song. It is very captivating. I will make up in my mind and retranslate the lyrics if I have to. I cannot live. I'm going to tell you what, I love the Moody Blues. Okay, I do. So, All of this stuff happens because they send these people into you wanting to lure you in. And meanwhile, what their goal is to hope that they can ensnare you into their little cult, right? Okay, now let me go back up a little bit. So I understand that this is how they drag people in. They monitor your behavior, this sort of stuff, and then they use like, Justin Hayward, and they might have used like, other musicians. They did, okay, because there's a few musicians that I spoke to through the course of the time where I was talking to Justin Hayward and a few other people. So they try to get this selection going, right? What they were trying to do is convert me to their way of living and their religion, okay? And uh, I feel as though what these people have done has been very devastating to not just me, but to a lot of people when they really start to think about it, okay? I recently made, you know how I make tarot spreads and stuff like that, and I put them in my newsletter. I was working on an alien spread, right? And for some reason, I decided not to put it into this newsletter, right? Because I have my reasons for not putting it in there. But um, I did this particular spread on this particular group of these um, this religious group, okay, and it's basically saying that they want world domination. Like, and I talked about this before in one of my videos when I made it back in 2015 or so. The one about the dominion theology. Okay, these people want dominion throughout the earth. Meaning, I've seen people with the Mormon name tag, in other countries. They go on their missions and stuff like that. And like I said, me seeing Mormons on a bicycle, I'm going to tell you right now, that's just a trigger I cannot take. Okay, I cannot take it. To know that these people are riding in bicycles all over the world is just absolutely mind-blowing to me. And see, what I believe, what I've always resented about these sort of operations is the fact that, they squeeze out the cultures of other people and their views and their opinions and their cultures and their traditions, and then they force and they cram their stuff down other people's throats. Okay, and then they expect people to be compliant, and then it's not like you can just go home in your house and shut them out of your world, right? They want to invade your entire existence. Okay, they want to follow you, they want to surveil you, they want to tell you what to eat, they want to tell you who to marry. They're going to force those damn kids on you, right? They're going to sit there and promote having getting more people of the white race. And you know what? Hey, I get it. Okay, I get it. Okay, but at the same time, do these people have the means to really raise these people? Do they really, or were they just tricked into following an agenda that led to them nowhere? Okay, see, these people were so blind with the desire to conquer people. Okay, they really did not have any sort of destination as to they just wanted to win. Okay, now I'm going to tell you, if that's not archonic energy to wipe through, I'm getting very upset right now. If that is not archonic energy sweeping through a group of people and corrupting and distorting and destroying many people's lives, I don't know what. I really don't know what. Okay, now I woke up this morning. Okay, I don't know. Like I said, going back to Elon Musk. Okay, now I think Elon Musk is cute. I remember speaking to people who may have been pretending to be Elon Musk or whatever, and I do get the feeling that this happened around the Rex Laverne time when I was working over at Rex Laverne's place. I started working there in September, and I started communicating with somebody who was saying that they were Elon Musk. It always starts off on Facebook Messenger, right? I'm just sitting here looking on Facebook, and then all of a sudden I get this message. And, I'm like, oh, is this Elon Musk, right? He's contacting me, so I guess I'll talk to him, right? And I'm always a little bit leery and hesitant about this. But, as this is how the whole protocol goes. You get into a conversation, and it's like, hey, download this particular app so we can communicate. And I'm like, dude, this is a communication device. Why are we moving from one platform to another? I don't get it. But anyway, we were communicating, okay? And I remember like, we were in communication, and then it kind of stopped. We didn't talk. Then it kind of resumed in February, okay? And now Elon and I have been communicating, touch and go here and there. I believe he's a very busy person, so we send emails text messages, hi, how are you? Hope you're doing well, whatever, that kind of stuff. If that's him, okay? And like I said, I'm not going to go into meditation trying to figure out if that's exactly him or not. I hope it is, okay? But I do think that he's kind of going through a lot right now. And I do understand that, he's coming up, he's opening his eyes to certain realities that he never had the ability to open his eyes to. And I'm referring to the real Elon Musk, okay? Now, this morning when I woke up, Well, okay, I'm gonna have to back it back a little bit. Okay, I remember seeing he had a few wives. Okay, and when people talk about things like polygamy and stuff, even before I knew that I was the reincarnation of King Solomon, that stuff just kind of went in one ear and out the other with me. You know why? Because I understand, like I do not, as Maria Gordon, have a desire to be in a polygamous relationship, but I will tell you, I understand human nature. Okay. I understand that, some people find that lifestyle appealing. Not because they really want all of a bunch of those kids, but a lot of men prefer to be with other women. Okay. I do not believe that monogamy is natural. I don't believe it's natural. Okay. So, just because somebody gets married doesn't mean that he's going to stop looking at other women or desiring other women. It doesn't work that way. Okay, it just doesn't. Okay, it just does not work that way. I think we all know that. Okay, so anyway, so this is one of the reasons why a lot of people struggle in marriage, and then a lot of women like my mom, could not understand why is it that I'm not enough for him. Why am I not enough for him? Anyway, but that, a lot of women get upset about that kind of stuff. To me, it's like, whatever, because I myself was King Solomon, and there was a time where, I believe in my family line, we were supposed to multiply, and that required having a bunch of wives and concubines, and that was completely acceptable. The concubines were not wives, but they were actually just kind of, you could kind of think of them as side chicks. That was how it was back in the days, okay? As shocking as it may seem. Okay, so when I talked about, the evolution of, the Bible, like we have the Old Testament and then we have the New Testament, it seems as though there was an attempt to try to make things more humane. Because, and I do believe that this must have been showing some sort of sympathy in some way towards women. Because a lot of women, see, the way things were set up is where, like, the man was the only thing a woman really had to live for. Okay? He was the breadwinner. He was the one who supplied, the sperm to have children. You were going to raise the children. And, not having a kid was kind of looked down upon back then. It's like your purpose as a woman was to be, the bearer of children, on the offspring or whatever. So, to have one man that felt like, they loved them, commanding love to me is kind of silly, okay? Because you either love that person or not. They either have the enduring quality to be loved or they don't. You know what I mean? So it's like commanding love kind of seems to me, when I think about the evolution of a person or the society as a whole, it's like, okay, I understand that we tried to work with monogamy, but it doesn't necessarily work, okay? So there's all these little things that people need to try to figure out throughout society or throughout the time. We had polygamy, then we were talking about moving into just one wife. And now me, as Marie Gordon, I'm not somebody who gets married. You know why? Because I understand what Big Corp is doing. Big Corp is destroying people's lives with their dehumanization of people. Okay, everything that's wrong with me, it has everything to do with religion, which is creeping into corporations, and they're trying to enforce their life on other people. Now, with that said, I woke up thinking about a girl that I had seen. It was one of Elon Musk's wives. Okay, now I know there's a lot of people who talk on YouTube, and maybe people have suspected that, or maybe made up stories, because I don't know. People have said so many things about me. But like I said, I never started paying attention to Elon Musk until just recently, of 2025. I knew who he was, and I admired him because I understood that, he was working with these companies. He was associated with Tesla. He was associated with Neuralink and all these other places. So I was like, that's admirable. He can juggle all that. You know what I mean? I thought he was a cool dude. And I respected that enough for him to be in my autodidacts, presentation. Okay. But that's all I really knew about it. Okay, so I just recently started knowing him, and I understand, like, anytime something relates to me, people want to talk about, my new kingdom spouse, or some karmic woman that, is trying to, bully me or whatever. I don't know if any of that's true, or if it even relates to Elon Musk or not, because I hear all kinds of stuff, because I understand that, number one, I had a lot of jealous people trying to attack me. And I understand there was a lot of people who were trying to set me up with kingdom spouses. So I can't start losing track of who could possibly be who. Okay. But I remember when I saw a picture of one of Elon Musk's wives. She's very pretty. All his wives are pretty, right? One with, and I don't remember her name. Okay. I don't know you guys' names. And I'm not trying to offend anyone. Okay. The reason why is because, yes, I have a crush on Elon Musk. Yes, I know Elon Musk has a lot of kids. And I think all of his wives are pretty. But I don't have any animosity towards any of you guys. I don't. Okay, even though I would like to spend time with Elon Musk, I don't have any animosity. I'm not trying to be jealous. Okay, but when I saw the one with the dark hair and the big blue eyes, she has very big blue eyes. Okay, there was something that came through my mind about this arrangement, and please forgive me for bringing something up so sensitive. And I meditated on this. Okay, I meditated on this for a while before I even wanted to talk about this. Okay, but when I saw this lady, I said, she's very pretty. And I remember thinking, because, I think the blue eye thing with the dark hair has always been, something very pretty. So I thought, oh, okay, cool. But what it was thinking in my mind was, I hope this woman is not being exploited by her employer. That was the first thing that came to my mind. And I kept thinking, how deep does this go? Like, was she somehow lured into, and please forgive me for bringing this up, were you somehow lured into an employment situation and convinced to have children? Was your employer a breeder ground? Were you exploited? Was this something that you wanted to do? Okay? Because I'm going to tell you right now, some of these Mormon companies are very dangerous. Okay? Their desire for world domination crosses the line. It way over crosses the line. Okay? And what they exploit is, just like me, okay? Everybody here who is an adult who has to make money and provide for themselves, we all have tried to live out our dreams, to try to have some sort of stability and stuff like this. And my feeling about you was, I hope you're not being exploited. I hope that you were not lured into a company that forced you into a kingdom marriage or some sort of situation. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about your particular situation. Forgive me for saying this, but I understand that I have a very low number count. Like, I have very low viewers on my channel, and the reason why is because of the Mormon Church. Okay, they've always wanted to make it very clear that everyone is against me and blah, 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 blah. So the select group of people that do watch my channel, okay, are probably celebrities, politicians, and so on and so forth. Somehow, but still, my information seems to circulate. I don't know how that works. I really don't know how that works, okay? It has something to do with my father, the surveilling of my father and being able to see him, and I was bullied in this whole situation. But anyway, my point is that my concern is that I believe that the corporations need to be seriously examined. You know what I mean? Because some of these people seem as though they're operating on traditions, okay, and the dehumanization of individuals, and like I said, I don't want, I think what I'm saying is a rather personal thing, but at the same time, I'm going to talk about it, right? Because, and I'm talking about, not to put you on the spot, I'm talking about it because I went through something. And I do believe that you may have been deceived into doing something that you may have regrets about. Okay? Because I do believe that the corporate dangle, when I'm saying the corporate dangle is, they offer you these benefit packages and stuff like that, but they end up burying you in life situations that are sometimes can be unbearable. You know what I mean? And it goes from one thing to another. Whether it be somebody, picking on somebody because they're a different bloodline, or maybe they're using you because they liked your DNA. You know what I mean? And their DNA. I wanted to also mention, certain things, this whole idea of the transhumanism type agenda. To me, I'm not very comfortable with people with that sort of idealism. And I'm not trying to be offensive. Okay? I'm not trying to be offensive, but it kind of indicates to me that this shows an utter disdain for the human existence. Not just my existence, but just human existence in general. It's like, you want to hollow people out to where they're just basically robots. Okay? This has been their agenda for a very long time. And do I think that Big Corp has some sort of interest in stuff like this? Yes. Yes, I do. You're choosing people's marriage mates. You're forcing people to have kids. You know what I mean? I don't understand the legalities of your guys' situation. Like, I just recently did a video. It's the human target video, right? I'm talking about the human. That's what I'm supposed to be working on today, right? We're rewriting my script. The human targets video. I'm briefly talking about the issue of sex trafficking. Okay, and I'm talking about the issue of forced marriages. Okay, and what constitutes a legal marriage here in the state of California. I have no idea where you got married or anything like that, but if you have, when it comes to the issue of polygamy, not everybody has legal responsibility. You could be put in a situation where you're just going to be left out in the cold. So I'm just letting you know, your situation is very serious, and you need to think about that. And yes, I am concerned about your situation. I think it's very devastating. I think it's devastating. Okay. Do I think that this company that you may have been associated with could be like some sort of farming, or maybe it's a cloning facility, sapping people's DNA? That could very well be it. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, these corporations, people need to really wake up. And do not be complacent in letting people, enforce this sort of stuff on you. Okay, this is one of the reasons why when I was thinking about people trying to force me into marriage, I don't want anybody forcing me into marriage. I don't want to get sucked up into any of this. Now, I also had an intuitive message, and maybe it was just a message I was kind of playing around. There's a company, I believe Elon Musk is associated with a company called Neuralink. Okay, Neuralink, talking about brain modification activity. See, it's like, I would not want anything in my head. Okay. I don't want any additives in my head. Okay. But do I think that this particular company may have had interest in knowing my thought process and stuff like that? I've seen videos on YouTube talking about this all the time. Okay. I am not a commodity. All right. And I'm not talking about Elon Musk. I'm talking about these other people who are associated with, who are most likely Mormon. I'm going to tell you, I am not a commodity. I am not interested in being a part of your scientific experiment, and I am not interested in enhancing your bloodline. Okay, I do believe that what you're trying to do maybe is trying to improve your bloodline, or perhaps maybe make people into your human slaves, because this must be a form of your world domination. I think it's very sick. Very sick. You control too much of the human existence. Okay, you're choosing their marriage mates. You're choosing how they get educated. You're choosing, how many kids they have, and where they live. They can't even go down to if somebody was to go to the grocery store 2 times a week and pick up a thing of Ben and Jerry's, you need to know about it. Okay, you are the demonic force on this planet. You are the demonic force on this planet. Okay, and I'm tired of Big Corp. I'm tired of you. Okay, I was making last week when I was making my phone calls. I was talking to the girl, a receptionist or something, and she said, I was having her take a message, and she goes, "Oh, you were a Corp now." And I kept thinking in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm so sorry to hear that. I am so sorry to hear that. You have sucked the life out of so many people. Like you've totally taken people's American dream. I miss the good old days where people had their small little shops and businesses, and they were sweet, and they were quaint, and they were relatable. Okay, it's like I wish to God like your entire empire would just fall and crumble. That's what I wish for Big Corp. Okay, I mean, it's shocking the things that you do. You're the guys who come into the workplace. You're the ones who do the workplace mobbing. Or you use other people, like my family members and stuff like that, to do your dirty work. That's what you do. And see, you are responsible for my instability. It's not my work ethic. You can't say that. You know what I mean? You just didn't like what I had to wear. Well, guess what? I have every right to wear what I want to wear. Okay? And I'm just one of these people who understand that. Okay? If this issue with Elon Musk and his wives is true, you really are the representative of the outmost evil. You are evil. And I know there's a lot of people who ended up committing suicide. I hope that this little group is committed suicide. I hope they did. And I hope that Donald Trump is watching this. And I hope the entire White House is watching this. Wake up. Okay? I'm getting this message. Yep, many perps committed suicide due to humiliation. Now it's time for freedom. Okay, I really am. Okay, so I really think it's time for freedom. Okay, our freedoms are not radical. They've always made it seem like it was radical. Like you want to go out and go get, you want to go get like a bag of apples or something. Oh, that's too luxurious. You can't have that. Okay, you want to go buy something, do something, feel something, experience something. They want to dictate that. You are a church. You have no right to say shit in this country. Okay, you have damaged everyone's lives. Okay, and I'm not afraid to say it. I am not afraid to say it. Anyway, yeah, I woke up and I was a little disturbed, and that Daryl's face was in my head. Right? Okay, I get the intuitive message that a lot of people are discussing their disdain for religion, and they are also discussing their disdain for corporate America. Corporate America has to change. You know, I kind of laugh sometimes when I think about how corporate America has like traumatized me. Right? Like even like things that relate to like holiday holiday parties. I remember we had this holiday party, right? One year it was cool because we got like gift cards and cool stuff like that. And then I don't know what the hell somebody decided to give out, what do you call it? Company type memorabilia for prizes and stuff at work. And I already was in going to the party anyway. But when they did that, I was like, fuck. Are you serious? Like, oh, I get to have like a company hat that I don't want to wear. It's like you expect us to be devoted to your dreams. You see what I'm saying? It's not that we don't want to be a part of a vision, especially if that vision matches what we are. That's why I'm talking about work cultures. I mean, why should we get all fired up about your vision or our enslavement? Is basically what it is. Oh, we should be happy about this kingdom spouse. It's going to probably abuse us. And if we don't marry him, guess we're not going to have a job. I want corporate America to be done already. Okay, you either transform or get off the planet. I am not kidding. I am so sick and tired of you. Because everybody knows I have a solid basis for what I'm saying. They know it. They feel it. Okay, and no one's communicated this to me, but I know I've seen it through the YouTube videos, people talking about the work, and also hearing about how you guys are going around, trying to manipulate how people work, how they think. I mean, I understand there's nothing wrong with having rules, policies, procedures, and stuff, a special way of processing things. Fine, I get that, but you guys do not know how, like, you cross the line. It's like like I said, you want to get into people's psyche and like destroy every single thing that they have, and it's like, the issue of, the girl, she did a YouTube video, or was it a TikTok video? I think it had something to do with her music taste or whatever, them telling you what to listen to, that you guys do not allow people to have any pleasure in their life. None. And this is why, you want to hide me, because I prove your religious belief system wrong. Because when people see me and they know that I live the correct way of life, and this has been discussed among a lot of these members. Okay, this is one of the reasons why they wanted to prevent me from living my life. And you know what another message I got is that they believe, now I don't know if this is true or not. Like I said, this is all stuff is very weird, but apparently I had the ability to fly, right? I know that I flew on a carpet as King Solomon, according to the Quran, right? And other religious texts makes me out to be like this really cool occultist, right? And I believe that Issa Maria Gordon, I am still very much associated with the occult. I have not attempted to fly. But they wanted to prevent me from flying. They wanted to prevent me from exercising my gifts. Okay? I don't believe in transhumanism or, the hollowing out of individuals or dictating what people wear, what they eat, what they buy. Their choices. You know what I mean? They're choices that give us some sort of pleasure in life. Okay? Corporate America destroys your life. Okay? And all these small businesses that ended up, collaborating with you guys, I that's really sad. When she told me that her business was now, their company was now a corporation, I was like, oh, that is so sad. So sad. Okay? I hate Big Corp. Okay? I don't see any value in it. And don't you dare try to retaliate against me or work a sort of secret op against me. I have every right to say this. as well as, you know, and I'm saying this in front of Donald Trump, and I'm saying it in front of the United States of America. Yes, I hate big corp. Okay, I don't know the whole thing about the kingdom marriages, corporate. That's where the tie-in is. Okay, I mentioned a couple days ago, people talk about corporate marriages and stuff like this. You guys run an illegal operation. Okay, and you are ruining. And I know people are talking about me right now. People have their opinions about me. They're talking about my Egyptian bloodline. Okay, that I don't think that I'm the odd one out though. I mean, just because what I'm saying to you is seems very strange. No, I mean what I'm telling you is you're it's not. I didn't write the laws that are on the books. Okay, I'm just telling you, arranging marriages through your corporation and stuff like that is illegal. Okay, I don't. A white person could have wrote that law. I'm just basically saying is whoever wrote that into law was brilliant. Okay, and just because you know I'm Egyptian, I'm telling you it's already written, possibly and probably written by a white person. I'm telling you you're in violation of the law. Okay, so either fix your stuff or get out, shut down, so people can have their real lives, so people can go back to having their real companies and stuff like that. That would be so much better. Yes, I hate you. I hate big corp. Okay. So now I'm off my big corp rant, and I had to get out, had to get it out of my system because you know I understand that everything that goes on in this life relates to your religion. Okay, it's the religion. It's you can't we can't just see you. I mean, well, I can't. I would never see you. I don't go to any of your institutions, but people can't just you know spend time at church on Sunday and get their little uplifting talk and then go back to their lives on the rest of the week. No, you have to be in their face 24 hours a day, dictating everything that they do and ruining their lives. You have done nothing to enhance anybody's quality of life. You know what I mean? It is what it is. So anyway, that's my big corp rant, and I'm going to get off of here, and then I'm going to be making my phone calls a little bit later. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care.